So good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to another episode of TopTenz. I'm your host for this episode, Karl Smallwood, and you can probably tell from my get-up what time of year I'm recording this. Christmas time, yeah. Let's talk about some cool animals, shall we? Everyone has heard of the T-Rex, the saber-toothed tiger, the dodo bird, and the woolliest of mammoths, but life on Earth has been around for a very, very long time. That means the vast majority of animal species that have ever existed lived and went extinct many years ago. Most probably left no trace of themselves for us humans to find, and only a few that do wind up getting catalogued in scientific records and enjoy any kind of public fame. But that doesn't mean they don't deserve it. Let's correct that now and check out some of the more obscure, cool extinct animals you've probably never heard of and likely never will, unless you happen to enjoy looking this stuff up, like we do. Hi. So let's start with one of the better known. Number 10, the thylacine. Commonly referred to as the Tasmanian tiger, the thylacine is a haunting symbol of extinction from the modern era. Native to, you've guessed it, Tasmania, but also Australia and New Guinea when it was around, this carnivorous marsupial looked like a cool blend of a wolf, a fox, and a large cat, though its closest living relatives are things like kangaroos and wombats, its fellow Australian marsupials. With its distinctive yellow-brown coat, rigid tail, and a series of bold, dark stripes across its lower back and tail, it's easy to see how it got the name the Tasmanian tiger. Despite its carnivorous habits, the thylacine wasn't really built for high-speed chasers. Instead, it likely relied on stealth and stamina to catch its prey, though our personal theory is that it also subsisted on a steady diet of the nightmares of small children. Something we say because have you ever seen footage of one of these things opening its mouth? If we can get the rights to it, here it is, or a picture or something. This thing is horrifying. By the time Europeans arrived in Australia, the thylacine's numbers were already dwindling due to climate change and dingo predation. Yep, dingoes don't just eat the babies of us people. Also, I guess not so fun fact, but the whole dingo ate my baby joke that was really common in the 90s for some reason is based on a real story where an actual lady had her baby eaten by a dingo, and she was made fun of by the press for decades until they went and found a dingo nest with some baby clothes in it. But that's a story for another day. Unsurprisingly, human settlers expedited the demise of the thylacine through hunting, habitat destruction, and the introduction of various diseases the thylacine's immune system could not cope with. The last known thylacine, named Benjamin, passed away in captivity at the Hobart Zoo in 1936. Additional not-so-fun fact, I suppose, Benjamin died when the door to his enclosure was left open overnight and he simply froze to death. Though there are occasional sightings of thylacines in the wild, none have ever been confirmed. Also, I guess, slightly more fun fact about Benjamin, the last thylacine in captivity. For years, nobody knew what gender the thylacine was. They assumed male because the name Benjamin, but no one really knew for sure because, you know, the sexual dimorphism of the Tasmanian tiger wasn't really something that was well known until eventually someone tracked down some footage of Benjamin in his enclosure and noticed that he had a nutsack. So, hell yeah, go Benjamin with those apparently are large enough to notice by scientists. Nutsack. Well done you. Moving on, number 9. The quagga. Once native to South Africa's grassland regions, the quagga is yet another striking example of just how much humanity sucks so much ass. At first glance, the quagga might seem like a zebra that couldn't decide on where to place its stripes. Its front half sports the iconic black and white stripes typical of zebras, but these stripes fade out along its midsection, leaving its hindquarters a tawny brown, much like a horse. A zebra horse, if you will, which... fun facts. I guess this is just a video of fun facts today. There is actually a cross between a zebra and a horse. You can crossbreed the two animals and you'll get a creature known as a zorse. And I guess since we're talking about animal hybrids, I might as well mention the wolphin, which is a whale crossed with a dolphin, the geep, a goat bred with a sheep, and of course the beefalo, a domestic cow bred with a bison. Those are all real, and yes, we will make a video about the best ones if you bug us about it in the comment section below. But back to the quagga. Its unique appearance sadly made it a unique target. Settlers in the 19th century heavily hunted them for their distinctive pelts and saw them as competitors for grazing land with more domestic livestock. By the 1880s, the quagga had been hunted to extinction. The last known individual died in the Amsterdam Zoo in 1883. Interestingly, the quagga story doesn't quite end there. Recent DNA analysis revealed that the quagga was a not distinct species, but rather a subspecies of the plain old plain zebra. This discovery has fueled what's known as the Quagga Project, an attempt to recreate the quagga's unique appearance through selective breeding of plain zebras. So yeah, let's go Jurassic Park with zebras. Also, yes, I'm aware I pronounce zebra two ways during that entry as zebra and zebra. I don't know why. I watched a lot of animal documentaries as a kid and narrators never seem to be quite sure on what the actual pronunciation is. But let's move on now to number 8, the moa. The moa, the giants of New Zealand's prehistoric avian world, were flightless birds that once roamed the island in quite diverse forms. While most people are probably familiar with the massive version of the moa, there were 9 distinct species of the creature that ranged in size from a turkey to a colossal 12 feet tall, which weighed in excess of 500 pounds. That's, for anyone curious, is a bird taller than a basketball hoop. Unlike many birds, moa had no wings, not even tiny vestigial ones like ostriches or emu. Their long necks and strong legs were adapted to a life of browsing on the vegetation of New Zealand's forest and grasslands. For millions of years they lived without any mammalian predators, which is sort of why they lost the ability to fly. They simply didn't need to. However, with the arrival of the Maori people around the year 1300, the moa's peaceful existence was threatened. Within a mere century or two of human settlement, all species of moa were hunted to extinction, largely for food and sometimes for fun, because I guess it would be kind of neat to see someone try and beat up a 12-foot tall bird. The moa's legacy lingers on in New Zealand's cultural and natural history, a sombre reminder of a lost giant. But we're not done yet, because the demise of the moa led to a rather unintended side effect: the loss of another giant big-ass bird, called number 7, Haast's eagle. Named after the geologist Sir Julius von Haast, who first described its remains, the Haast eagle was a fearsome predator that once soared over New Zealand's skies. This raptor holds the title of largest known eagle to have existed, with females, which are typically larger than the males, weighing up to 33 pounds and boasting a wingspan of nearly 10 feet. To put this in perspective, that's roughly twice the weight of today's largest living eagles, which, if anyone's ever seen the aforementioned animal documentaries I talked about, can do things like knock goats off of mountains and carry them away. Like, birds are terrifying. For example, in the UK where I live, some seaside towns have to warn people with small dogs like chihuahuas not to let them go outside because the seagulls will get them. And that's not like, just fear-mongering. Seagulls occasionally get chihuahuas. There are stories about people who had pet chihuahuas and they don't have the pet chihuahua anymore because a seagull got them. Back to the Haast eagle, it was perfectly adapted to be the apex predator of its environment, with the strength to take down large prey, up to and including the aforementioned moa, which, remember, is about 15 times heavier and could be as tall as 12 feet, by tackling it from the air and then snapping its neck with its talons. Or at least that's the theory, we don't know for sure, but that's the only one that really makes sense, because how in the hell else would you take out a 500-pound bird that was 1 1/2 Andre the Giant's tall? Its reign as the sky's dominant predator came to an abrupt end with the arrival of the Maori people to New Zealand around, as mentioned, 1300. As we discussed, the Maori people hunted the moa, the primary food source of the eagle, to extinction. With its main prey gone, the eagle soon followed, with its extinction likely occurring around the early 15th century. This rapid decline highlights the interconnectedness of the ecosystems and how the disappearance of one species can trigger a domino effect, leading to the loss of others. Let's move on now to number 6, Steller's sea cow. Named after the German naturalist Georg Wilhelm Steller, who once described it in the 18th century, Steller's sea cow was a gentle marine giant that once traversed the freezing waters of the North Pacific. Related to today's dugongs and manatees, this animal was substantially larger, sometimes measuring in excess of 30 feet in length and weighing up to an astonishing 10 tons of fun. Its thick, wrinkled skin and generous layers of blubber protected it from the chill of its icy habitat. Unlike its more mobile relatives that graze on seagrass in warmer waters, Steller's sea cow was adapted quite well to feed on kelp and other seaweeds abundant in the subarctic regions, and it was mostly found near coastal shores, which unfortunately made it a comically easy target for sailors to hunt. As in, you could sail out into the water a little bit, spot one of a Steller's sea cow, and then just sort of nudge it back to the shore. The animal's natural buoyancy, which made it largely immune to being attacked by whales, preventing any attempt at escape by it. When Steller first described these creatures in 1741, they were already limited to the Commander Islands off the north coast of Siberia. Within just 27 years of their discovery by Europeans, the Steller's sea cow was hunted to extinction for its meat, fat and hide. Unlike a lot of other animals on this list, how much impact humans had on its demise is debated. Like, we know that we as a species killed all of them, but there is an argument to be made that the species was already sort of screwed due to a variety of other factors, and that us as a species sort of just nudged the Steller's sea cow along to its extinction. So hooray, humans not being the cause of everything wrong for once. Woo. Number 5, Megatherium. Megatherium, often dubbed the giant ground sloth or sloth. This is another one of those animals where there's 2 pronunciations I'm familiar with. David Attenborough, who I'm inclined to believe is the authority on how to pronounce the names of most animals, pronounced it sloth, but I always heard sloth when I watched Ice Age as a kid, so who's to know for sure. This is one of the most iconic megafauna from the Pleistocene epoch. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, I'm sorry, David Attenborough didn't have any clues for me on that one. Native to South America, this gigantic herbivore dwarfed the modern, adorable tree sloths that we're familiar with today, with a length reaching up to 20 feet and standing on its hind legs, reaching heights similar to that of a modern giraffe. It's hard to imagine this giant as part of the same family as today's smaller sloths, which, fun fact, can swim. Also, I guess bonus fun facts about that, sloths can swim faster than they can walk. Also, they're really hard to tell apart in terms of telling a male from a female, to the point where there have been multiple cases of zoos around the world accidentally creating gay or lesbian sloth couples when trying to breed them, because they simply cannot tell the difference. Isn't that a cool fun fact? Also, I guess another bonus fact about sloths, because I do find them quite interesting, all their organs are connected together because they spent all their time upside down, or the majority of their time upside down. Their organs have to be connected to their bones, so they're like the sort of sinew that is not present in other animals that connect their organs to their rib cage, which is all weird, and I don't like it, and I don't like thinking about it, so let's move on. Unlike its modern arboreal relatives, Megatherium was primarily terrestrial. Its massive curved claws were likely used for digging, stripping leaves from branches and trees. Fossil evidence suggests that, while they primarily consume plants, they might have occasionally scavenged for meat or insects. When standing on its hind legs and utilising its tail for support, Megatherium could reach the upper branches of trees, giving it a diverse menu of vegetation to choose from, notably avocados, which the creature was able to eat whole, later pooping out the seeds. So if you ever cut into an avocado and thought, why does this thing have just one big ass seed? That's why. It was originally meant to be food for a 4-ton sloth, or that's at least what it evolved to be. The reason behind Megatherium's extinction around 10,000 years ago is debated. While climate change and the changing landscape played a role, it's believed that early human activity, yay again, including hunting and habitat alteration, contributed significantly to their decline. For example, we've found fossils and bones of this creature that have evidence that they were hunted for their meat. There's cut marks in the bones suggesting that early humans were cutting them apart or butchering them. The legacy, though, of Megatherium serves as a window into a time when literal giants walked the earth, albeit very, very slowly. Number 4, the Tasmanian emu. The Tasmanian emu is a smaller subspecies of the mainland Australian emu you're probably more likely familiar with. Also, yes, it's another one of the animals where there are 2 pronunciations I've heard, emu and emu. Again, I will be using both interchangeably because I just don't know for sure. When I watched some videos of people with way better accents than my own narrating footage of these animals, sometimes within the same bit of footage they change the pronunciation. So I just don't know. Is it emu? Is it emu? We will never know for sure. So the Tasmanian emu was adapted to the cooler climate and unique ecosystems of its namesake island and managed to flourish in the open woodland and grassland. While emu on the mainland are flightless birds known for their impressive size, sometimes reaching 6.2 feet in height, the Tasmanian variety was somewhat more diminutive, though a still pretty massive bird, relatively speaking. Its diet was omnivorous, consisting of plants, seeds, insects and other small creatures, making it a versatile forager in its environment. However, and you probably saw this part coming, the arrival of European settlers in the 19th century sparked a depressing turn of fate for the Tasmanian emu. These settlers brought along livestock which grazed on and altered the emu's native habitat. Additionally, the birds were hunted for their meat, eggs and sizable legs. Just imagine it's an emu drumstick for Christmas. That'd be crazy. By the mid-1800s, the combination of habitat loss and hunting pressures led to the extinction of the Tasmanian emu in the wild. Today, while emu thrive on the Australian mainland, the Tasmanian subspecies does not, which is a shame because I'm all in on tiny emu. One of my favourite birds. I'm just a big fan of those big-ass birds, like emu, ostrich and cassowaries. Fun fact about cassowaries, they can kick through a door. Which I was like, no, they can't do that. And then I saw a picture of one of their claws and went, oh, okay, yeah, that's a dinosaur. Speaking of which, number 3, Aepyornis. Often referred to as the elephant bird for reasons that will become abundantly clear in a few moments, the Aepyornis was a massive flightless creature that once roamed the island of Madagascar. Boasting the title of world's largest bird, Aepyornis stood 10 feet tall and weighed up to 1,100 pounds. So the moa may have been larger, but Aepyornis had the girth. It had the thickness on its side. So this is probably the best and most visual evidence we can conjure to show that birds evolved from dinosaurs. And yeah, that's a dinosaur. So you just see a chicken and then it's not got any feathers. That's a dinosaur. But Aepyornis, that's a big ass dinosaur. And as you might imagine, this massive bird laid equally as massive eggs, roughly equivalent to 150 average chicken eggs. While Aepyornis had powerful legs built for walking, their small vestigial wings were a clear indication that flying was simply out of the question. They were herbivores, feasting on the diverse vegetation that Madagascar had to offer. Much of what is known about these birds comes from fragments of their eggs, which have been found in abundance across the island. Now, the exact reason for Aepyornis' extinction is unclear, but it's believed that, you guessed it, human activities played a significant role. The first humans arrived in Madagascar around 2,000 years ago, and alongside habitat destruction, it's suspected that the bird's massive eggs were a popular food source. By the 17th century, no records of living Aepyornis existed. I was having a good day. I'm going to a Christmas party after this. I'm going to have a lot to talk about when they ask me, "Hey Karl, what did you do today?" Well, I recorded a video about animals. That was fun. Can you tell us anything that was from that video? Oh boy, strap in. We're not done yet, folks, though. Number 2, Diprotodon. Often referred to, at least by me, as the giant, massive extinct wombat, Diprotodon is the largest marsupial in history, stomping around Australia, surprise, surprise, a giant animal in Australia, around the same time as the massive sloth we've already mentioned. This behemoth bore resemblance to today's wombats, but on an admittedly bigger scale. Adult Diprotodon could reach lengths up to 14 feet and weighed a staggering 6,200 pounds, making them roughly equivalent in size to a modern-day hippopotamus, and with fuzzy and wombat-shaped. Despite their imposing size, these creatures were herbivores, feeding on a diet of grasses and shrubs and trees, as in entire trees all at once, as a snack. Their forward-facing pouch likely carried their young, providing some insight into their reproductive habits. As ground dwellers, they also left behind distinctive footprints that have been preserved in fossilised form, giving researchers valuable clues about their behaviour and their habitat. The reason for Diprotodon's extinction around 25,000 years ago remains a subject of debate among scientists. While climatic change, particularly the increasing aridity of Australia, played a role, it's also believed that human activities such as hunting and the use of fire to manage landscapes might have had an impact on their populations. The giant wombat's extinction, alongside many of Australia's other megafauna, marks the end of an era when colossal creatures that aren't spiders dominated the continent's landscape. And finally, number 1, my favourite thing on this list, Dunkleosteus. And I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly because it's a fun word to say. Dunkleosteus, a titan from the late Devonian period, roughly 380 million years ago, was among the most formidable ocean predators of its time. This prehistoric fish wasn't your average catch of the day, boasting a length of up to 33 feet, bigger than the largest great white shark specimen ever recorded. It was an armoured monster equipped with one of nature's most impressive and weirdest set of jaws, and I say that as a British person. What truly sets Dunkleosteus apart was its incredible biting force. Instead of teeth, like modern-day sharks or fish, Dunkleosteus had 2 long bony plates that formed a beak-like structure. This beak could exert tremendous pressure, easily slicing through the armour of other prehistoric fish or crushing smaller prey outright within its jaws. In fact, bite force estimates suggest that this fish had the single most powerful bite of any fish to have ever existed, with some particularly metal scientists noting that the fish could effortlessly bite a shark in half if it roamed the seas today. Dunkleosteus was part of a group of armoured fishes that dominated the seas during the Devonian period. Despite its dominance, the reign of Dunkleosteus and its kin was relatively short-lived, at least in geological terms. By the end of the Devonian, the fish and ones like it had largely disappeared from the oceans. The reasons behind the extinction of the fish is a matter of scientific debate, but the legacy of Dunkleosteus and its shark-obliterating bite remain. So thank you for everyone for watching at home. I hope you found this video to be informative, entertaining and educational. I certainly found the script to be all 3 of those things. And if you have any suggestions for us, feedback, all that good stuff, you can leave it in the comments section below. You can also like the video, share all that good stuff, and find links to my social medias as well as the other sister channels that we help run. I say we because this is a team effort. There's a writer, there's a script editor, although I think I script edited this one. Pull back the curtain a little bit. I recorded this video about 4 months ago. We lost the recording. It's Christmas time. I got asked, "Hey, can you record it again?" I said, "Well, sure." I'll do that. So I can't remember if I edited this one or not. It sure reads like something I edited, but I don't know. But then we've got video editors, thumbnail makers, people who help keep the site running. There's the people who get the payroll going. It's all a big team effort. So it'd be silly for me not to credit everyone, especially when I'm wearing a Christmas jumper. You can't wear a Christmas jumper and be selfish. That's the law. But thank you for watching. We'll see you all next time.